See, iPhone or Android?
What's that?
I couldn't care less. Hello, people of the world. Welcome back to another episode of Sam Sessions. We're back here again in the Acoustic A Room with South Austin Music. Today's a special day. You got Seth Welker right here, and to my right, a longtime friend, integral part of South Austin Music, the Austin music scene, Brent Wilson.
Good morning, Seth.
How you doing today? I'm doing all right. I always enjoy these, and I was certainly looking forward to today. You've been one I've been wanting to come on since the very start. So
it's good to be here finally.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. There's a lot I want to get into. Getting ready for this, I found out a whole lot about you that I've never heard. And just for some context, I've been working with you for about a year, and I've known you for about a year times 20, probably, most of my life, if not my whole life. And a lot of this stuff I've never heard right off the bat. It seems you're not one to boast much.
Well, I don't talk much.
It's a good thing we got you here for an interview, Frank. I heard that you met Johnny Cash at a Home Depot.
No, it was Lowe's.
At a Lowe's?
Yeah.
Gotta support that brand loyalty.
Yeah.
Was he shopping for the Ring of Fire? Or?
He and his wife June were shopping. They were big gardeners. And this is when I lived in Tennessee.
Okay.
My family and I lived in Tennessee and Nashville for 10 years. Mm-hmm. And I went to Lowe's one day, and it was on a Sunday afternoon, and they were just out buying stuff for the garden. Mm-hmm. And
Did you go introduce yourself, or how did the meeting come about?
Well, the meeting came about kind of, I'm not one to bother people or gurm people. I just don't like to do that in general. But I was standing in line right behind Johnny and June Cash. and she ran off. She thought of something else that she wanted to purchase that day. And he said, "No, baby, don't run off too far. We're standing in line here. We're going to have to check out here pretty soon." She said, "I'll be right back." So she ran off, and then the lady in front of John paid for her stuff, and she left, and he's looking all around, and he goes, "June!" So she came running back with this other plant that she found. And so the way I started the conversation was, I said, "Boy, sometimes they run off on you, don't they?" He said, "Yeah, they sure do." So she came back, and they paid for their stuff, and they had this big cart full of stuff. Mm-hmm. And dirt and shovels and all kinds of stuff, heavy stuff. Mm-hmm. And they were getting up there in years. And so he said, I paid for my stuff, and they were still out there in the curb area. And he said, "Baby, stand right here. I'm going to go get the car." So he went and got the Cadillac, and he pulled up there.
Like a Cadillac car?
A Cadillac car.
And they're loading up shovels and plants and topsoil?
Well, they began to, and I said, "Folks, can I help y'all with some of this stuff? Some of this looks heavy." And John, he was a very proud man, and he said, "I think we got it, sir." And she said, "Well, now wait just a minute." She said, "We're getting to be up in years, and we can use every bit of help we can get. So if you want to help, sir, go ahead and help." So I'm helping them load up their car, and the whole time I'm thinking, I'm helping Johnny and June Carter Cash load up their car, their Cadillac here at Lowe's. So anyway, we got done loading up the car, and John turns around and he extended his hand and he said, "Thank you, sir." He said, "What is your name?" And I told him my name, and he said, "Are you in the music business?" I said, "Yes, sir, I am." And he said, "You wear the look."
Dang.
So he probably didn't even have to introduce himself. He probably figured that you knew who he was, huh?
Everybody knew who Johnny Cash was, in that area, because this was in Hendersonville, Tennessee, and so everybody in town knew him. We went to church together and things like that.
Oh, that's cool.
And
That's cool.
kind of lived there in the same neighborhood, but so that's a long roundabout story there, but.
So how long did you live in Tennessee for?
10 years.
10 years? And that's when you were working for Gibson, is that right?
I worked for Gibson for just over a year.
Okay.
So not that long. And I worked for Gibson right before we moved back to Austin.
Gotcha. So what was it like working for Gibson?
It's just a big old factory,
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of a dirty factory place.
Yeah.
I got to meet a lot of really interesting people. I got to meet Les Paul.
Met Les Paul. What was that like?
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I didn't think I ran in the circles that would put me in contact with Les Paul, but I got to meet Les Paul, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's incredible. What was the conversation with him like? Just nice to meet you. I'm Brent Wilson, and
He asked me, he said, "What do you do here for Gibson?" And I said, "I'm a builder, sir." And he said, "Oh, okay." And Gibson had this thing where they bought out Baldwin pianos.
mm-hmm.
And so they built 100 upright pianos, and they painted them cherry sunburst. So somebody had the idea we'll get Les Paul to sign these 100 pianos, like the face of the piano. So there's the front panel of the piano, and they weren't installed on the piano yet. They were just stacked up, and they were having Les Paul sign these front panels of these pianos.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "So what do you do here?" And I said, "I'm a builder, sir." And he said, "Oh," he says, "you may know what's going on." He said, "Why am I signing pianos?"
He thought you might have the answer for
He
that
thought
one.
I might have the answer, but I just kind of went, "I don't know." But it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because somewhere, strewn about the world, there are 100 pianos with Les Paul's signature.
Who, I mean, besides those signatures, he doesn't have anything to do with pianos, does he?
I don't think he ever used one on a record that I can recall.
Whose idea was that? That's good. That's awesome. So what, because before Nashville, you were living in Austin originally, right?
I was living in Austin. I'm from Houston.
Okay.
And I came here in the summer of 1986.
Prime time.
And I met your dad.
Mm-hmm.
I came in that front door over there.
86 is when the shop opened.
That's
South
right.
Austin Music.
That's right. He had not been in this location very long at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think he had 4 or 5 guitars hanging on the wall there behind the counter, and the shop was very small back then.
Mm-hmm.
And Billy was running the shop by himself, and he just seemed like a real affable guy, and a guy that I could get along with, and a guy I did get along with. And he asked me where I was from, and what my scene was, and what I was doing at the time, and so we just had a conversation. I thought, here's a man who wants to get to know his customers, and I think he has carried that tradition or that way of thinking throughout all the years that he's been in business here at South Austin Music.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah. He drills into all our heads for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you walked in the doors for the first time in 86. About how long after that did you start putting in some work here?
I didn't officially work here until I'm going to say 94.
Okay, gotcha.
But I was in here several days a week,
Mm-hmm.
just hanging out, and me and a lot of the other customers, sort of became friends, and
Yeah,
it's always been just a great spot to hang, and it still is.
for sure. What was the staff like? What was the size of the shop like in '94 when you started?
In 94, I think Bill had 2 people on staff then.
Mm-hmm.
And one was a guy named Troy Dillinger. Somebody else, and I don't remember who that person was, but anyway, they left and went on to pursue other things. And
Mm-hmm.
I walked in one day, and it happened to be that same day, and Bill asked me if I wanted a job. And I said, as a matter of fact, yeah, I'm looking for some work. And I had come in off the road, and I was kind of tired of being on the road, and
Right.
I wanted to hang out in town more and, be at home more. So a daytime job was in order for me at that time.
Yeah, it's a perfect place to spend the daytime too. What so you come off tour, it sounds like. Was that when you were touring with Wagoneers?
Yeah, I had just gotten done with with the Wagoneers a couple of years before that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's see. I'm going to say 89. I had been on the road with the Wagoneers for several years, and when I say on the road, on tour, we did I think 279 dates the first year we were signed.
Must have been several months, right?
Yeah, we would be gone for 6 weeks at a time without seeing home.
Jeez.
And then when we did come home, it was just long enough to do laundry and get some dry cleaning done and get a little bit of sleep and then turn around and leave again.
Jeez. Yeah, that can be tough for sure.
It was brutal. So that came to an end in 89.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started playing with Kelly Willis and her band. And we did Austin City Limits and
Okay.
things like that, and did a couple of tours with Kelly. And then she decided she got tired of being on the road and wanted to focus more on recording and writing and things like that. So we all took day jobs.
I gotta ask, with all the touring, what was like the grungiest, just maybe sketchiest place you stayed, and then in comparison, what was the nicest place you got to stay at on the road?
You mean like hotel, motel wise?
Yeah, exactly. Do you have like a specific memory of like just you were a little scared to close both eyes to go to sleep at night, and then one where it was just 5-star, amazing food, whichever?
Yeah, there was this one place in Arizona where we stopped one night, and I knew I was in the wrong place when I saw syringes and still in the trash can. So, and the sheets on the bed were kind of like tissue paper. But we were tired. We were tired. We laid down.
You slept anyway.
We laid down and went to sleep.
I guess that's one positive about being overworked. Just sleep wherever. Doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
What about what are the nicer spots you got to stay at?
Oh, we stayed in some really nice hotels. You
Yeah.
know, that's the thing about being on the road is that, you're in a 5-star hotel one night and then a
Motel 6 the next.
yeah, something like that, or worse.
Yeah, jeez. At least it keeps things interesting.
It does. It does.
So you were in Nashville for about 10 years, and then you moved back here, and you moved back to Austin. So in between the time that you went from Austin to Nashville back to Austin, you were touring for that whole period as well?
I was touring a little bit when I lived in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot. I wanted to focus more on songwriting, and so I wrote with and my wife and I wrote with a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of different people when we lived in Tennessee. And I was just kind of starting to break into the recording industry, working on some demos and things like that. And then we decided to move back. And
at what point did you play with James Burton, who, by the way, I just found out was the guitar player for Elvis Presley, right?
Elvis Presley for many years.
Man, that's insane.
And he played on, he's played on hundreds of hit records.
Right.
People, have no idea, the discography of this man.
Right. It's an impressive one, though.
It's very impressive.
How did you come into contact with him?
Through Casper Rawls.
Okay.
And he's another fellow you should interview.
Yeah?
Casper he's a wealth of knowledge.
Is he in Austin?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll have to check him out for sure.
He's the master of the B-Bender Telecaster.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So it was just like a friend of a friend situation?
Yeah, he introduced me to James. I had never met him. He's just my boyhood idol as far as guitar players,
That's incredible.
And, I used to watch him on TV and listen to records that he played on back then. You had the album cover that had the liner notes and would list all the players that played on the record. And, wow, James Burton, man, he played on everything. Do you
remember being really nervous the first time you played with him?
I was nervous the first time I met him. The very first time I met him was at Summer NAMM in Nashville. And just kind of happened upon him and just kind of introduced myself and, that I was a fan and everything. And
yeah,
my wife and I were there and we both met James and he just seemed like a great guy. And then years later, after we moved back to Austin from Tennessee, Casper Rawls called me one day and he said, "Hey, how would you like to play bass with James Burton?" And I said, "Oh man, I would love it." He said, "Yeah, the only caveat is that you have to sing." He said, "So we're hiring a bass player and a singer. And it'd be great if you could do both." And I said, "Man, I'm in, just tell me
when,
I'll be there." So, I was a little nervous first time I played with him.
I didn't know you did any vocals.
Yeah.
Was that a special thing you would only do to be able to play with James, or do you do vocals in other areas too?
Well, no, I did all the harmony work on all the Wagoneers records, and anytime I ever did any touring, that's something I did. I did, harmony, background singing and harmony and stuff.
Okay, very cool. Man, that's incredible. I can't imagine playing with someone of that level success. Did he have any cool Elvis Presley stories that he told you or anything?
Yeah, he did. He said that one time, actually a very inebriated guy came up to him after the show one night and he says, "So you play guitar with Elvis Presley, huh?" He said, "Yeah, I did." He said, "Well, did he ever buy you a Cadillac?" He said, "No, he didn't buy me a Cadillac, but he gave me the shirt off his back one time." And he said Elvis was in a giving mood at this one particular time, which he often was. He was a generous man. And so he was giving everybody gifts. And, there a lot of the gifts were like fur coats and leather coats and things like that.
Yeah, the kind of stuff he wore.
And he said, "Well, James, I don't know, man." He said, "You're kind of the smallest guy here, and I don't really have anything for you. So look around and see if there's anything that you would like, and I'll give it to you." And he said, "Well, Elvis, I like that shirt you're wearing." So, of course, it was a handmade shirt and everything. And so Elvis took the shirt off and gave it to James, and he said he still has it hanging in his closet.
Jeez, it's like a robbery.
Yeah.
Give me the shirt off your back. Man, how about, I heard that Stevie Ray Vaughan tried to buy your amp once.
Yeah.
Do you want to sell it to him?
I didn't want to sell it to him.
Yeah.
I wanted to keep it. I don't have it now. I wish I did.
Who'd you end up selling it to?
Another customer here.
Okay.
A very well-known customer.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I figure if someone like Stevie Ray Vaughan wants to buy your gear, it's probably a good indicator that you should hold on to it.
Right. Yeah, well, that's kind of what I told him. He said, "Oh, well, you can find me if you want me."
Playing with the Wagoneers, how many years did you spend? I guess you were the head of the band. Is that right?
No, Monty Warden was the head of the band.
Okay. And so how much time did you spend playing with them?
Let's see. So we got signed the summer of 1987.
Mm.
So, just over 2 years.
Who'd you get signed to?
A&M Records out of Los Angeles.
Okay. And what was that process like as painstaking as it gets made to seem?
It was pretty weird.
Yeah.
And pretty surreal. We played at what turned out to be ACL Live. Back then was called Aquafest.
Mm.
And they had bands down there on the river at Auditorium Shores.
Mm.
And so we were playing there under this big tent. And Joe Walsh was on the big stage pretty close to where we were playing. And Joe Walsh got done with his show right at the time we were supposed to start. So we started up right as Joe Walsh's show let out. And so all that crowd that were there to see Joe Walsh came over and just flooded our tent. And they were ready to get down to business. They were ready to rock and roll. So we played to that crowd, man, And when we got done and came off the stage, there was a guy there, and he said, "My name's Patrick Clifford, and I'm in A&R with A&M Records.
Uh-huh.
And I've got this napkin from the green room, and I've got a Sharpie, and I want to draw up a record contract right now." And so our manager was there, and she said, "Oh, no, you don't." She said, "Here's what you're going to do. You're going to fly him out to Los Angeles. You're going to introduce him to Herb Alpert and Jerry Moss. And those are the A and the M in A&M Records, Herb Alpert and Jerry Moss." And I was a huge Herb Alpert fan. The whole time I was growing up, Herb
So you
Alpert,
knew of them already.
Oh, yeah. Herb Alpert was huge. Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass. Those are some great records, by the way, if you want to hear some great music.
Yeah, check that out.
So our manager said, "No, I'll tell you what you're going to do. You're going to put them on a plane and fly them out to Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to show them the town, introduce them to Herb Alpert and Jerry Moss, and you're going to wine them and dine them, and then you're going to sign them." And he said, "Okay." So I don't think it was over 30 days later, we were on a plane to Los Angeles.
Wow.
And during that time, they had sent some guys down from A&M Record and from A&M's publishing division to hear us play. And when they found out that we were writing all the songs, then they wanted to sign us as well.
Yeah.
Almo Irving Music signed us as well as writers.
Wow.
And so it was just like a big whirlwind thing, and stuff that it was the kind of stuff that you see in movies and you go, that never happens. But it happened just that way. And so, man, I think throughout my career, I have been in a position where I've been able to place myself in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
And I've just been really, really fortunate. God's been good to me. And I've been able to do a lot of cool things and meet a lot of cool people.
Yeah.
And just kind of live that dream.
Wow.
You know?
That must have been such a crazy time. Was that your first time in LA?
Yeah, it was my first time in LA.
That must have just been.
First time in Hollywood, and I remember walking up and down Hollywood Boulevard and going in some of the music stores.
Yeah.
On Sunset, and
it's like a whole new life.
It's a whole different life, yeah.
I gotta wonder, what was the Auditorium Shores? What was that show called?
It was called Aquafest.
Aquafest at the time. So when you were playing that set at Aquafest, did you have a gut feeling, or did you have a feeling that this is, this could be the thing that really catapults y'all into some serious recognition?
No, I remember thinking, okay, this is one for the books. This is a really good gig. We sounded really, really good. We rehearsed all the time. We were really, really tight. And I wish we were that tight now.
Yeah. Do you mean like in the way you sounded, or as a group?
Yeah, the way we sounded was everything just gelled together. It was just very cohesive. I just remember that.
Yeah. You guys were in the flow state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very good way to put it.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. I wish there was some kind of recording of that show I could see.
I do too.
But you're still playing today. You still played several shows a week, is that right?
You can see us at the Broken Spoke the last Friday of every month.
And that's like, as of now, after all the change, that's like the most classic venue you can play.
Yeah. No, we usually play to a pretty packed house.
Yeah.
There.
And you do Continental Club too, is that right?
No, we don't do the Continental Club anymore.
You've done it. I mean, I saw you walking by there like a few weeks ago. Have you done it recently?
No.
Huh. There's a Brent Wilson look-alike walking around out there.
Yeah, there could be.
Man, that's awesome. Like I said, there's so many things that I had no idea about you before, I started getting ready for this interview. So it's really cool to hear some of those stories. And there's a lot of people out there, if they had stories like that and you worked with them enough days out of the week, you would probably hear them tell that story about 60 times in a month. And I just never heard it before. So it's pretty cool to be able to hear that firsthand.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. And
like I say, I've been really fortunate.
Yeah. Well, you're humble about it too. And that's the other thing I've noticed is honesty goes a long way with you as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm a pretty honest person, I think.
I mean, I see you walk up to the counter and, pay the $2 for picks whenever you need them.
Well,
I don't even play guitar, and I still have at least 6 picks at home.
I think that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's cool. It's cool. People admire that about you for sure. It's been brought up to me before, and I've noticed it myself. So it's really cool to have you around. And the next part of the show is kind of like I'll just ask you quick questions. Just give me the first thing that comes to mind. It's kind of a way to get to know a little bit more random things about you, about music and outside of music. And the first one, which I know the answer to, electric or acoustic?
Yeah, both.
Both?
Yeah.
Guess I didn't know. I totally would have thought you would have gone acoustic.
I love acoustic guitars. I love the whole premise behind an acoustic guitar, the way it works and all that, and the way they're built. I love the way they smell.
Yeah.
Particularly an old acoustic guitar, man. They just smell great.
Yeah.
And
authentic smell.
Yeah, you can tell a good old acoustic guitar that has a lot of songs in it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I love both. I love both electric and acoustic guitars. I love playing bass. I love playing upright bass and electric bass, and I just love music.
Yeah. What about hardwood floors or carpet in your house?
Hardwood.
Pizza or hamburgers?
Hamburgers.
Yeah. Okay. You like Mexican food? You like Italian food?
Wow. Boy, that's about a toss-up there. I probably eat more Mexican food than Italian food, but I love Italian food.
Yeah.
Particularly if it's homemade.
Oh, yeah. Homemade pasta?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is hard to beat. See, iPhone or Android?
What's that?
I couldn't care less. Couldn't care less, I figure, right?
Yeah, I couldn't care less.
Okay, how about this? You're going out for the night to play a show or whatever it is, and you're putting some money in your wallet. You gonna put $520s or $100 bill?
I like $100 bills, man.
They're crisp.
Yeah.
They're crisp, aren't they?
Yeah. I'm not as apt to spend them either.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want to keep them.
Yeah.
That's what Horty said. I think it was Horty.
I think that was
Jeff?
Dave.
Dave? Okay.
Yeah.
What about when you're snacking? You like spicy snacks or regular? Like hot Cheetos, regular Cheetos?
Regular.
Okay. Red salsa or verde salsa?
Oh, wow. Wow. That's. I guess I have trouble making up my mind because I always ask for both.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's actually the best way to do it.
Yeah.
I'm never happier if I have I can just have French fries, but if I have 8 different dipping sauces, that's the way to go.
Absolutely.
Martin or Gibson?
See, they're both great.
Yeah.
I've owned Martin guitars. I never have. It seems like I never have been able to keep them
Yeah.
for very long because they're expensive and they're worth a lot of money. And when you raise kids, sometimes you got to sell things.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't owned a Martin guitar in a good while. So I guess I'd have to say Gibson.
Okay, that makes sense.
I've got one Gibson guitar that I've had since I was a kid. So
No kidding.
Yeah.
What model?
it's a J50,
Nice.
1960s J50.
You still play it all the time?
Play it all the time. It's been on a lot of records.
Wow, that's incredible. What about when you're leaving the house? Are you more worried about dressing in style or looking good or dressing in comfort?
Well, these days I care a lot about comfort.
Mm-hmm. Gotta have a good pair of shoes on,
Yeah.
comfortable.
Now, if I'm leaving the house for a gig, style is of utmost importance.
There you go. Let's say you're enjoying the evening at your house. Is the lighting of the house more important to you, or having a couple candles lit and the smell more important?
Yeah, I don't particularly care for scented candles.
Mm.
So candles are okay, but I think just low lighting in the house in the evening time just helps me to kind of.
There you go. Yeah. What about, you rather get caught up in a TV series or watch a movie?
Yeah, TV series.
Yeah. Keep you entertained for a lot longer. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Exactly.
There you go. Let's see. Crypto or stocks?
I don't play the stock market.
Never have?
Never have.
Yeah. It's a dangerous game.
It is dangerous.
Yeah. Well, Brent, thank you so much for coming on the interview. Like I said, it's been one I've wanted to do for a long time.
Thanks for having me, brother.
It was a pleasure having you and hearing all those stories, man.
My pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brent.
Thanks a lot.